is like your research process has to be insane though, because your interviews are so in depth.
Yeah.
But you do so many of them. I know you have a team, right? But at the same time, like you have to also kind of be invested into who you're talking to. So you also have to make sure you're applying yourself to whatever research your team brings to you. Like how many hours a week are you diving in and preparing for these conversations?
It's all over the place. I mean, my assistant, Evan, he does like the first, draft of the research, and he's been working with me for so long. He has a pretty good idea about where I'm going. But when it comes to certain, I'm older than him, and I've been in hip hop longer. So, I was a hip hop nerd.
Yeah, you have different cultural context to certain interviews.
Yeah, sure. but beyond that, it's like since I was a teenager, I've been buying every XXL and double.
For sure, me too. I still got them in storage right now.
Yeah, I don't have that. Yeah,
I got all of them in storage.
Yeah, you're a better man than I am. But like, I would read everything from cover to cover, and a lot of this stuff never made it onto the internet. Right? This is just a magazine from 20 years ago.
You a callback from an article.
Yeah. Like, and I'll do that. I'll be like, hey, in this one article you mentioned whatever, and this is just from my memory banks.
Right.
And or watching you on TV Raps, stuff that
isn't on YouTube.
It just isn't on YouTube anymore. You have to have experienced it at the time. So, and also a lot, can be said about kind of experiencing music as it comes out for the first time. Like, it's one thing for a 20-year-old to listen to Michael Jackson's Thriller and say, wow, this is really good. It's something different to be my age and actually remember when Thriller came out and how big of an impact. And it was like, my God. And I was in elementary school at the time. I was still a kid. But you knew it was the biggest thing ever, even as a kid. And you can't really go back and experience that after the fact.
Yeah, it's like these, there's like kids who dive into like old Outkast or old Kanye, and it's like, but I went to the store and bought the CD on a Tuesday,
right?
You know what I mean? And like, I remember, like, there's certain. I think that's what I appreciate about a lot of your conversations is like you still do have that kind of approach, especially when it comes to some of the like older artists,
right?
Who I grew up listening to, you know what I mean? So you're gonna get that conversation. When did you? Because you pivoting and doing some of my favorite interviews you do, and I would say. The Hitman dude, is it Michael Francis? I damn near think you inspired him to do his own channel.
Well, yeah, maybe. Francis was not a hitman.
Or what was he?
He was a captain.
He was,
Sammy the Bull was a hitman.
Sammy the Bull was a hitman.
Yeah.
But you doing those Mafia interviews, because your Sammy the Bull shit's amazing.
Thank you.
Was there ever any, like, blowback for any of the stuff that those guys talked about that you personally experienced? I know a lot of those people are probably dead or in prison at this point.
I mean, I did this one interview where this Mafia guy, was bashing, I think, John Gotti Jr. and like his wife or something.
Yeah.
And then his wife reached out to me and was like, hey, some of the stuff he's saying is not actually true. Like, I don't weigh 300 pounds and, stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, I'll respect that. And then I cut certain things out just because I felt like, okay, well, if it's not true, I don't want to put it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of that, but in general, no, I mean, me and Sammy the Bull kind of got into a bit of an argument before our first interview.
Yeah.
But it was like, I mean, it's not like I'm worried about the situation. It's not like I'm worried about my safety. It's like, I'm sitting there with security and,
Like, I'm assuming, like, would you, because you've done, like, the Hell's Angel stuff you do is dope. Yeah. Would you ever do, I know you've talked to people who, like, have, like, done cartel, like, task force shit or whatever. But I feel like the one line, like, I'd be super scared to fuck with is, like, talking to any former cartel members, active cartel members. Like, I feel like, is that something that
I would do it.
You would do it.
We had a guy like in Colombia that was supposed to set up a bunch of these interviews up, and ultimately I think they all fell through.
I'm not even worried about the Colombian, because that's over the ocean. I'm from the Mexican cartels, don't fuck around, boy.
Well, Colombian cartels are no joke either.
No, for sure. But there's an ocean you got to get over.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, flights are cheap these days. But like I'm really, but like I am not the enemy here. like I'm actually promoting and I'm actually giving people a chance to tell their story. And I think that everyone wants to tell their story.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, like the street guys, they really want to tell their story, especially if they did a lot of jail time behind it, and they have the right to tell their story because they've already been convicted of it or they've already pled guilty and so forth. So, like, I'm viewed as someone that helps.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, like Terrence Gangster Williams, I did his first interview out of prison. He
Yeah,
did like
I remember
27
that, yeah.
years, and then
and
that
now
in
he's
turn
extremely successful.
Yeah, he turned around and started his own channel,
Yep.
and now, like I said, we did a whole episode with him for the Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass, and he sent me some paperwork recently where he's made over $300,000, and this is just sitting in his apartment, in the second bedroom of his apartment,
Right.
looking, in front of his laptop, doing some simple editing.
Well, there's
and,
been so many examples of that, like people who have found success coming on your platform as a
Bob
personality.
James,
And then-
Michael Franzese is another one. I think he started his channel after we started doing interviews. Yeah, man, like
I mean,
and this is-
like Lord Jamar wasn't doing a show. Was he doing a show?
Yeah, no, I think he started his own channel.
No, he did, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
I don't think he was doing that prior to like coming on your shit.
No, not that I'm aware of. A lot of people, man, and I'm happy for everyone that does well with it. I mean, this is not this is not an exclusive game. Anyone can technically do it. It just requires the work.
Yeah.
You can't just do it
Consistency
occasionally.
work.
Consistency.
It's the
And you have to
consistency.
put in, it's sort of like when you look at, like, for example, like a Jamar, he still films at his home and does interviews, like Zoom type interviews.
Which don't
It
resonate. They just don't resonate.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
when you don't reinvest into the production of it and don't raise your production,
You have a ceiling.
It's gonna limit you.
Right.
So that's why you see him not sort of growing in the same fashion that like his interviews grew on Vlad TV, because we put a lot of production behind
Right.
it. A lot of production. Like we have, like, I don't know, like a $50,000 setup of Vlad TV
Right.
in our New York studio. I mean, moving cameras and and the editing and the sound. Like, I mean, I have a guy that really his main job is to clean up sound.
Right.
And you look at some of the older Vlad TV interviews, some of the sound is just awful. And now it's like it's really clean.
Have you thought about doing what Mr. Beast is doing and having a Vlad TV like Brazil, Vlad TV, and where all your old interviews get dubbed over in different languages?
Yeah, I mean, we've had companies reach out to us for that, but I think what's really going to happen I think it's already happening on a limited scale, is that YouTube is going to be able to just incorporate AI
versions of that.
versions of it, where you'll be able to just
Click.
click on the bottom right hand corner, and it's like, if you want to hear this person speaking in Spanish with the exact same voice,
Right. That'd be crazy if they did. That's got to be coming.
They already have it,
Oh,
but
they do.
I think it's just not being rolled out on a large scale basis. So I think that that's going to be done. The technology is already there. So it's just a matter of, this year, maybe next year, I think that all that's just going to be automatic. So I think all that's going to be unnecessary. Now, Mr. Beast is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
So he's got the bankroll to pay.
He actually has, because there is AI software to do that. Because I remember, if you watch the Cheech Marin interview that I did, we have a Spanish audio version of that interview.
Got it.
But it's not his voice.
It's different.
It's not quite as
Right.
good. And with AI, they could even make the mouth match the words.
Right.
You see what
Which
I'm
is
saying?
crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're Mr. Beast, it makes sense, because he's making so much money off every video, and he's got huge sponsors. He's got the Amazon show and everything else like that. So throwing an extra $10,000 for some translation is simple for
sure.
him. But for us, having a whole bunch of people translate it for limited returns has never
Like the
been
ROI is going to make sense. At the end of the day.
there's not a good ROI. So therefore, I'm just kind of waiting for YouTube to do its job.